We talked about Alone, the show a bit.
Yo, Rock House.
Yeah, what do you think about that guy? Rock House, Roland Welker from season 7. He built the Rock House. He killed the muskox with bow and arrow, and then finished it with a knife.
Yeah. and had the GoPro to mount to, to document it. That's really mind-blowing.
I mean, so for people who don't know, that show is you're supposed to survive as long as possible. On season 7 of the show, they literally said you can only win it if you survive 100 days. And there's a lot of aspects of that show that's difficult, one of which is it's in the cold. The others, they get just a handful of supplies, no food, nothing, none of that. So they have to figure all of that out. And this is probably one of the greatest performers on the show, Roland Welker. He built a rock house shelter. So what does survival entail? It's building a shelter, fire, catching food, so staying warm, getting enough energy to sort of keep doing the work. It takes a lot of work. Like building the rock house, I read that it took 500 calories an hour from him. So he had to feed himself, right? Quite a lot. You're lifting 200-pound boulders. And still the guy lost, I read, 44 pounds, which is 20% of his body weight. So that's survival. What lessons, what inspiration do you draw from him?
I think he was fun to watch because he had this indomitable spirit. Yeah. He wasn't there to commune with nature. He was there to win. And he was like, to me, that's the pioneer mentality. He goes, I'm a hunting guide. I'm out here. I'm going to win that money. I'm going to survive through the winter. He wasn't worried. I feel like so many people are like, they worry, second guessing themselves. Am I in a video game? I don't know. What's my, just questioning their entire existential identity. And this guy was like, you know what? There's a muskox over there. I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to stab it. And then I'm going to make a pouch out of its ball sack. And I'm going to live off that for the next few months and win $500,000. And that's an amazing amount of pragmatic optimism that I just enjoyed. Yeah. And every time he would go, we got to get back to Rock House. And it became, even though he's all alone, he had a big smile on his face. And what made that season so great was that it was him and then it was Callie. And Roland had, the muscle and could make Rock House. And then Callie was the opposite. She was this girl who, she could hunt with her bow and she knew how to fish. And she wasn't using raw power. But what was so endearing about her was that how much she loved being out there. As hard as it was and as isolationist as it was, she was smiling every time the show cut to her. She was like, hey, everybody, it's morning. Can you believe the frost? Like, you've been out there for 100 days. Amazing optimism. I think it was really an amazing show of that the game is all here. The game of life. The game of Alone and the game of life. Because it's the same thing.
Yeah, she maintained that sort of silliness, the goofiness all through it when the condition got really tough. And she had a very different perspective as, Roland didn't want any of the spirituality. It's very pragmatic.
Yeah.
And for Callie, it's a very spiritual connection to the land. She said something like she wanted not only to take from the land, but to give back. I mean, there's this kind of poetic, spiritual connection to the land. It's such a dire contrast to Roland. But she's still a badass. I mean, to survive, no matter what, no matter the kind of personality you have to be a badass. I think she took a porcupine quill from her shoulder.
That was crazy because I think it went in somewhere completely different and it migrated to her shoulder.
Yeah.
And the way that I understood that is because I said, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Because I remember that. She's like pulling up her shirt and she's like, there's something. And then she like pushes it out.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, hold up. How?
Yeah.
And it was because the barbs, once it goes in, as you move and flex your body, it moves a little bit each time and it can just migrate. Like, I didn't even think of that shit.
Plus, if I remember correctly, I think she caught 2 porcupines. The second one was like rotting or something, or infected. It had an infected body, whatever.
It had the spots on it. Yeah. She chose not to eat it.
No, and then she chose not to eat it at first, and then she decided to eat it eventually. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah, and that was an insane, sort of really thoughtful a focused collective decision, waiting a day and then saying, fuck it, I need this fat. And that was the other thing, is like fat is important.
Oh yeah.
It's like meat is not enough. You learn about like what are the different food sources there. Apparently there's like rabbit starvation is a thing, because when you have too much lean meat, it doesn't nourish the body. Fat is the thing that nourishes the body, especially in cold conditions. So that's the thing.
She was incredible, and I thought as brash and sort of fun as Roland was, she represented a much more beautiful take on it, and it was really heartbreaking when she lost, because I mean, and like you said, still a badass.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Forrest Griffin versus Stefan Bonner. Like, it was like, it doesn't matter who won.
Yeah.
You guys beat the shit out of each other. Like,
and she didn't really lose, right?
No,
so she got evac'd because her toe was going.
Frostbite.
100 days. You think you can do 100 days?
Honestly, I'm 18 years in the Amazon, man.
Yeah.
I just, at this point, it's I could.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sign up for another 100 days.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, I don't have that to prove. I've survived in the wild, and I wouldn't want to voluntarily take 100 days away from everyone I know.
Yeah, the loneliness aspect is tough.
We're not meant for that. I really love the people I have in my life, and I wouldn't and you see it on the show. A lot of the people, big, tough ex-Navy SEALs who are survival experts, who know what they're doing, they get out there and they go, you know what? I miss my family.
Yeah.
And they go, it's not worth it. They have this existential realization. They go, I only got so many years here. Like, this is crazy. It's just some money. Fuck it. And they go home.
You know, it's funny because you sometimes film yourself in the jungle when you're alone. And there's another guy, Jordan Jonas, Hobo Joro. He's the season 6 winner. And he said that the camera made him feel less lonely. I've heard of him from multiple channels. One of the things is he spent all of his 20s in living in Siberia with the tribes out there.
Whoa.
Herzog, happy people. And so he actually talked about that it's one of the loneliest time of his life, because when he went up there, he didn't speak Russian, and he needed to learn the language. And even though you have people around you, when you don't speak their language, it feels really, really lonely. And he felt less lonely on the show because he had the camera, and he felt like he could talk to the camera. There is an element when you have, in these harsh conditions, if you like record something, you feel like you're talking to another human through it, even if it's just a recording. I sometimes feel that, like, maybe because I imagine a specific person that will watch it, and I feel like I'm talking to that person.
Well, I noticed that when things got especially hard, and they did get especially hard when we were out in the wilderness, that you would begin filming to share that struggle. But I also think that I've used that at times where, you go, well, maybe because if you can tell someone else about it, then you're on the hero's journey. And then it sort of has to make you braver, and it changes how because I'm cold and I'm tired and I'm hungry and this hurts and that hurts and I don't know when we're going to make it and how is this going to go? And all of a sudden you go, well, guys, we're here and we're going that way. And then you're like, well, I got to keep going because you're like, they're still out there. If you forget,
you have to step up. That's one of the reasons I want a family. I think when you have kids, you have to be the best version of yourself, like for them.
All my friends with kids that I've seen them go through, where until you have a family, you're just playing around, man. I mean, you could do important work. You can have skin in other games, but it's once you have a little tribe of humans that depends on you.
Yeah.
If you take that seriously, if you want to do that right, it's one of the hardest things you could do. And it just changes everything.